Let me ask you something. When you were growing up, what were you told about money? Work hard, get good grades, get a safe job, save your paycheck, don't take risks. Sound familiar? Now let me ask you this. How's that advice working out for most people? The truth is, and this might sting a little, most people spend 40 years of their life working hard, only to retire with barely enough to survive. Not because they didn't work hard enough, not because they weren't smart enough, but because nobody ever taught them how money actually works. That's exactly what Robert Kiyosaki set out to change in 1997 when he self-published a little book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It became one of the best-selling personal finance books of all time. Over 40 million copies sold in more than 50 countries. And love it or hate it, this book genuinely rewired the way an entire generation thinks about wealth. So today, we are doing a full deep dive breakdown of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to unpack every major concept, cut through the fluff. And by the end of this video, you'll walk away with ideas that can genuinely change how you see your financial future. Stay with me, because this one's worth your full attention. Let's get into it. The book opens with a story. Robert Kiyosaki had two father figures growing up. His biological father, the poor dad, was a highly educated man. He had a PhD, worked as a government educator, and was always broke. He believed in the classic formula: study hard, get a degree, find a secure job, work your way up. His best friend's father, the rich dad, barely finished 8th grade. No fancy degree, no corporate title, but he became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. Now, here's what's fascinating. These two men didn't just have different bank accounts, they had completely different beliefs about money. And Kiyosaki argues that those beliefs, not the circumstances, not the luck, not even the education, were what separated them. Poor Dad said things like, "I can't afford it. Money isn't that important. Love of money is the root of all evil. I'll never be rich." Rich Dad said things like, "How can I afford it? If you don't learn to work for money, you'll always work for money. Money is a tool. Master it." Do you see the difference? One mindset is closed. It accepts limitation. The other mindset is open. It asks questions and looks for solutions. Kiyosaki's core thesis starts right here on page 1. Your mindset about money determines your financial future more than your income does. That's the foundation of everything that follows. Here's a phrase Kiyosaki uses early in the book that sounds almost offensive the first time you hear it. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Let that sink in. Most of us are conditioned to think about income as something you earn. You trade your time, your energy, your expertise, and in return, you get a paycheck. That paycheck pays your bills. Then you go back and do it again next week. Kiyosaki calls this the rat race. You run faster and faster on the wheel, but you never actually get anywhere. The rich, according to Kiyosaki, break out of this cycle by building and acquiring things that generate money without them having to show up every day. We'll get to what exactly those things are in a moment, but the deeper point here is about emotions and money. Kiyosaki says most people make financial decisions based on fear and greed, fear of not having enough and greed when they think they might get more. And those emotional reactions keep people trapped. The rich, he argues, learn to observe their emotions rather than react to them. They pause, they think, they ask, is this decision driven by fear or by logic? This is a psychological concept as much as a financial one, and for a personal finance book, it's surprisingly honest about the role our feelings play and how we handle money. Kiyosaki says the number one problem with financial struggle is a lack of financial education. Now, most of us sat through years of math, history, science, and literature, but when was the last time a teacher sat you down and explained the difference between an asset and a liability? Here's Kiyosaki's definition, and it's beautifully simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Now here's where it gets controversial. Kiyosaki says that your house is not an asset. It is a liability. Wait, what? Hear him out. Most people think their home is their biggest asset. But think about it. Your mortgage payment goes out every month. Your property taxes go out. Your maintenance costs go out. Until you actually sell the house and pocket a profit, the house is consistently taking money out of your pocket, which, by his definition, makes it a liability. The rich, Kiyosaki says, focus obsessively on acquiring assets, businesses, stocks, bonds, rental properties, things that generate income regardless of whether you're working. The middle class, on the other hand, buy liabilities they think are assets, big houses, new cars, expensive lifestyles, and then wonder why they're always strapped for cash despite a good income. The rich buy assets first. The assets then pay for the luxuries. That's the formula. That's the mindset shift. We're about halfway through, and I want to pause here for a second, because I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do this? I have bills, I have student loans, I have a family. I hear you. And the second half of this video is where it gets practical. We're going to talk about taxes, how the rich use corporations, and what Kiyosaki says you actually need to start building wealth even from zero. But here's the thing. None of that will matter if you don't have the right mindset first. And if the first half of this video did anything for you, I hope it started to crack open the way you see money. If it did, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach more people. And if you're new here, stick around, subscribe. I break down powerful books and ideas like this every week. All right, let's keep going. Kiyosaki has a chapter called Mind Your Own Business, and it's one of my favorites. He's not saying quit your job and go start a company. He's making a subtler point. Your job is not your business. Your boss's company is not your business. You are building someone else's dream, not your own. What he's saying is start building your own asset column on the side. Your day job pays the bills, fine. Use it, but simultaneously start acquiring assets. Buy a stock, invest in a small rental, start a side business, build something that generates passive income. The goal is to eventually reach a point where your assets generate enough cash flow to cover your expenses, and at that point, working becomes a choice, not a requirement. He calls this financial independence, and he's clear it doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with a decision to stop spending everything you earn and start directing some of it toward asset building. Now here's a section that a lot of people gloss over, but it's actually one of the most eye-opening parts of the book. Kiyosaki digs into the history of income tax. Here's the interesting part. Income taxes were originally only meant to tax the rich, but over time the system evolved, and now the middle class pays the highest effective tax rates relative to their wealth. Why? Because wealthy individuals and corporations have access to legal tax strategies that most working people don't even know exist. Here's the key insight. The rich don't earn income the same way you do. They structure their finances through corporations and legal entities. Their corporations pay expenses before taxes are applied. Regular employees, on the other hand, get taxed first and then live on what's left. Think about that. A business owner can legally run a car, a phone, travel, meals, and education expenses through their business, reducing their taxable income significantly. An employee cannot do this. Kiyosaki isn't telling you to cheat on your taxes. He's saying learn how the system works and use it legally to your advantage. The rich do this. The poor and middle class don't, usually because they don't know they can. One of the most powerful chapters in the book is titled The Rich Invent Money. Kiyosaki's argument here is that the most valuable asset isn't money, it's your mind. He says most people wait for opportunity to come to them. They say, I don't have the money to invest, or I'm not smart enough. But the rich understand that financial intelligence creates opportunities out of situations others walk past. He gives examples, like buying an undervalued property, adding value to it, and selling it for a profit, or finding a business deal others overlooked, or structuring a creative financing arrangement. The point isn't that you need to do exactly what he describes. The point is that financial education expands your ability to see and create opportunities. The more you know, the more options you have. He also introduces what he calls the 5 main skills of financial intelligence. First, accounting, understanding numbers and financial statements. Second, investing, understanding how money makes more money. Third, understanding markets, supply, demand, and timing. Fourth, the law, using legal advantages like tax and corporate structures. And fifth, sales and communication, the ability to persuade and negotiate. These aren't just abstract concepts, they're learnable skills, and most schools never teach a single one of them. Now, Kiyosaki is very aware that knowledge alone isn't enough. In one of his most relatable chapters, he lays out the 5 main reasons why financially literate people still fail to build wealth. The first is fear. Fear of losing money is the #1 obstacle. Everyone loses money sometimes, including the rich. But the rich fail, learn, and try again. Most people fail once and give up permanently. The second is cynicism. That'll never work. It's too good to be true. Cynicism is fear dressed up as intelligence. It keeps people from ever trying. The third is laziness. Kiyosaki reframes laziness in a surprising way. He says the most common form of laziness isn't lying on the couch, it's staying busy, keeping yourself so occupied with work and responsibilities that you never have to face your financial situation. The fourth is bad habits. Most people pay everyone else first, bills, mortgage, taxes, and then save whatever's left. The rich pay themselves first. They invest before they spend. This builds discipline and forces creative problem-solving when money is tight. The fifth is arrogance. Kiyosaki says many people use arrogance to cover up ignorance. If they don't know something about finance, they dismiss it or attack it instead of learning it. The antidote? Humility. Admit what you don't know and go learn it. Kiyosaki ends the book with practical action steps. Here's what he recommends. Find a reason greater than reality. You need a powerful emotional why. Not just, I want to be rich, but a specific vision that gets you up when things get hard. Make daily choices. Every dollar you spend is a vote for your financial future. Choose to invest. Choose your friends carefully. Spend time around people who talk about money, investing, and building things, not people who mock it. Master one formula, then learn another. Don't try to do everything at once. Learn one investment strategy deeply, apply it, then expand. Pay yourself first. Before bills, before anything, put money toward your asset column. Pay your advisors well. If you want good lawyers, accountants, and financial advisors, pay them what they're worth. Cheap advice is expensive in the long run. And finally, be generous. Kiyosaki talks about the power of giving. What you put out tends to come back. Here's my honest take on this book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not a perfect book. Some of the stories are hard to verify, some of the advice is oversimplified, and some of his specific strategies require significant capital, knowledge, and risk tolerance. But here's what I know for certain. The core ideas in this book are powerful. The idea that your mindset shapes your financial outcomes, that's real. The idea that assets build wealth and liabilities drain it, that's a distinction most people have never been taught. The idea that financial education is a skill, not a gift, that you can learn it, develop it, and use it to change your life, that's genuinely empowering. Whether you're 18 or 58, whether you have $50 in the bank or $50,000, the principles in this book give you a framework to start thinking differently. And different thinking leads to different decisions, and different decisions lead to a different life. That's the real lesson of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about getting financially educated and then getting to work. If this video helped you see money differently, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below. Tell me, what was your biggest takeaway? Was it the asset versus liability concept? The rat race? The 5 obstacles? Let me know. And if you want me to break down the next big personal finance book, let me know in the comments which one you want. I've got a whole list ready to go. Like this video if it brought you value. Subscribe if you're not already part of this community. We're building something here, a place where we actually learn how money works together. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.